Welcome to a new episode of Real People, Real Stories podcast. Thanks for joining to hear another real life story. I'm Rena, your host, and today my guest is Diane Phillips. Diane grew up in an abusive home and later survived violence from both an ex-fiancé and ex-husband. 3 years of trauma, music, especially the piano, became her anchor. In the final years of her father's life, he encouraged her to return to music, and she made him a promise that now shapes her path as a musician and singer. Hello, Diane.
Good morning, Rena.
Nice to have you on podcast, and thank you for joining and sharing your story.
You're quite welcome.
Diane, first question. Can you take us back to your early years and share what your childhood was like?
My parents fought all the time. My father was an alcoholic, and a lot of my stuff started actually very early, around the ages of 3 or 4. I was always walking around on eggshells. My mother was not well. She was not physically healthy all the time, and it just made for a very unbearable living situation, because Dad was an alcoholic, and that really didn't make things easier. So that's really when things actually began, was all the way back between the ages of 3 and 4. At either 2 or 3, I had lost my younger brother. My mother was pregnant again, and he only lived 18 hours. At the time, they didn't have the type of facilities that they have today to be able to save somebody who had damaged lungs. So I blamed myself for that. I blamed myself for everything that went wrong in the household, even if I wasn't the part of the problem. I always blamed myself. I felt like I had to walk on eggshells, and that continued for most of my adult life.
Diane, why you felt responsible for everything that happened at home? Was there that maybe the parents have subtly projected those problems into you as a child?
I believe that is exactly what happened. Mom and Dad both had some really horrific childhoods, which I didn't know about until I grew older. It's entirely possible they could have projected everything, and they may not have known how to take care of me in a proper way. They were just doing what they had been taught to do. So I'm thinking that very well could have been. And I also came into this world as a sensitive child anyway. I mean, I've been sensitive since I can remember. So yes, that very well could be a thing. Knowing what I know about Mom and Dad's stories now as an adult versus what was actually going on. Kids are smart. They know what's going on in a house, even if a parent tells them otherwise. They know. Most children would know. I mean, I did, and I just didn't feel that I could turn to anyone. So in a lot of ways, I shouldered everything, even though I probably didn't have to. Looking back 61 years to 3 years, there was a lot of things. It might have been better had I said something, but with the thing with Mom and Dad, the constant fighting, Mom's constant illness, Dad's constant drinking, I didn't feel like I had anybody to turn to, so I just did the best I could during that time and as I grew up into adult years. But that stayed with me for a very long time.
I can understand that childhood trauma takes time to heal. Let me ask the next question. When you were able to leave the home, because before the podcast you shared some facts and you had an ex-fiancé and ex-husband.
Yes. I had been out of Mom and Dad's house off and on since I was 18. My parents divorced the first time in 79, and then they got remarried again in 88, and I didn't meet Thomas and Kermit until much later. I would say my marriage to this gentleman was only a 4-month one. I had already started attracting people that took advantage long before this happened, but these were the two really biggest ones. I didn't know how to stand up for myself. I did not know how to basically fight back. I had absolutely no self-confidence whatsoever. But yes, I did live on my own for a while.
I can understand that. Let me ask, because people with not processed childhood trauma, they tend to follow the footsteps of parents or of the childhood they grew up in. So can it be that you choose those people to engage in a relationship because they reminded you this chaotic childhood?
I believe that that's exactly what happened. I mean, if you don't know that there's anything better out, if you don't know that there's a better way to live, a better way to do things, then yes, you're very likely to follow those same patterns. I mean, I did for a while. The only thing I didn't do was I never became an alcoholic like my dad. I mean, and in his later years, he got clean and sober. So I did get to see the man before the alcoholism, but that was much later. If you don't know that there's a better way of doing things, if nobody's ever taught you, nobody's ever shot you, or you don't even know that it's there, how are you going to live something better if you don't know what it is? And during those times, I didn't know what it was. Nobody showed me. Nobody told me.
And you had to learn everything from your own experience.
That is correct. Yes.
What about music? When have you engaged with music? You play piano.
Yes, I did. When I started out, Mom and Dad both thought it was essential for me to have a musical education. I started out with piano, and then when I went into junior high school, I played flute. I stopped playing flute and moved to chorus due to an incident with Allstate Band. I had won the seat. I wasn't allowed to take it. I was too immature, so that was a bit of a setback. I stopped playing flute that day, and it took me. When I moved in to take care of Dad and I were talking because he knew when I was a child, I was always playing music. I told him what happened and why, and he, bless him, he made the time for me to go take music lessons, to go take singing lessons, to go take music lessons. Always, he re-encouraged me again, which I hadn't had anybody do that in over 20 or 30 years. And it was because of him I got my music back. At current, I sing and I play drums, and I'm relearning the flute again after 40 plus years of not touching it.
So the music was back then when you started in the high school, was it helping you to escape the situation in the house, or you just enjoyed it? Or you did it because your parents told you to?
Actually, in this case, the music, I've always loved music ever since I was small. Mom and Dad encouraged me when they were together. I had to stop taking music lessons, with piano, and we'd moved to another state when Mom and Dad divorced the first time. But Mom made sure, I had high school lessons. I still had my flute from junior high. Music wasn't so much an escape. It was just something I could lose myself into. It's something I enjoyed. It's something that I loved as much as I love to breathe. And that's always been an escape for me. Even now, if I'm having a stressful day, I'll start singing Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World, or I'll sit and play at my drums. I mean, to me, music is my life and has been for so long, even though there's about a 20 to 40 year difference between me playing. One of the things that I promised Dad, and I'll never forget this, and he asked because he knew he was dying. We didn't at the time. He said, Diane, I want you to promise me something. I want you to, something happens to me, you go back into your music, you stay there. Don't let what happened when you were younger happen again. That kind of shocked me.
That were wise words of a man, who tried his best to give you this advice.
Yes, that's changed man when I met him the second time, because we had been estranged since my mother's death in 2006. He finally got back in touch with me. We started talking, and then there had come a point where he had a problem with a caregiver. He called me and asked me if I would move down to take care of him. I did so. It took several weeks to get down here, but I did. And he was not the same man that I knew when I was a child. Radically different. I mean, yes, we still had the father-daughter dynamic, but I understood more now because he felt safe enough to tell me what was going on in his early years. And a lot of what I learned shocked me, but it also made sense given the wider perspective of things. And I just told him, I said, Dad, I'm sorry you had to go through all that. Well, now you know. That's why things were as they were. He said, I'm sorry I couldn't have been a better father to you. I said, Dad, I didn't know then what I know now, The thing of it is, you're still my dad. I still love you, no matter what.
That's a touching story, I must say. But this also explains why probably he pick up drinking. I must say this is very unusual case. As you know, not so many former alcoholics able to totally change their life and to understand their mistakes, really to change their life for better and reconnect with people they hurt or impacted in negative way back in the day. So your father was able to do this, and this is remarkable.
That you're correct. There's more. I mean, alcoholism. It's like he told me. It's a day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, breath by breath. He was determined, and these were his words. He was determined to stay clean and sober. He didn't want to go back to the life that he had before that. And I respected him for that. I said, Dad, that took a lot of courage. He said, Diane, there's a lot of people who are alcoholics that never make it. And we've had some in our family. Alcoholism runs on all four sides of my immediate family. So I've seen from the inside. I will be honest, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't use drugs or anything like that. But that basically the way those family members of mine were, they practically made sure that I wouldn't walk the path just by what they were doing. And I'm very grateful to them because they showed me a different way. But yet being able to interact with Dad in his last years, it was just like night and day. I can't really express that more than that. And there's so many that fall off the wagon and go back into drinking and all that and everything that goes with that. I was very proud of Dad. That's not an easy thing to do. And I told him so.
That's definitely not easy way, not only for formal alcoholics, but for any type of addiction. That's why it's called addiction, yeah. Let me ask you something else. What about your career? Because you left home around 8 years old. Were you able to build some stable career? Did you manage to go to college to get some type of the education?
I was able to. I stayed in jobs for years. The last job I had before my dad called me to come down and take care of him, I was working overnight in retail stores resetting their shelves, and I'd been doing that for about a year. I was able to get other college. I've got some specialized training as voiceover. And, it was because, and I didn't get to do that until after Dad died. But because of Dad, there were some avenues that I wasn't able to take before that I was. But as far as being stable, that depends on what you define as stable. Because what stability to one person really isn't to another. I mean, I got through the jobs. I mean, I had no problems in jobs. I wasn't job hopping. But it just felt like something was missing. That's the best way that I know to put it.
And missing, you mean your music?
Yes, because I had stopped completely.
It's a deep thought. Well, I just ask it because some people with difficult childhood, they might not get opportunities as other people with education or with jobs. It's stable. It depends on the content, and for everyone it's different. Majority understand that you have job, you're secure, you know that tomorrow you will have job in 1 week and that you get salary and you can get by, so the salary pays your bills, your rent, your food, and so on. So that's the basic of stable, I can say.
That I understood that's what you meant.
Yes, thank you. Yes. What about the voiceover? You did some training, but did you engage in any jobs that required the voiceover, or this is in the past?
I actually have. I wasn't able to take the training until after Dad died because my responsibilities to him trumped everything else. But I did get some training. I have done some voiceover jobs. I've done some commercials for the radio station that I volunteer for. I've currently got a Positive Life Moment with Teresa that's airing on that radio station every day at 6:05 a.m. Central Time. It's a 30-second vignette. It goes like this. A Positive Life Moment with Teresa, which is the name that they use at the radio station. Be a Rainbow in Someone Else's Cloud, Maya Angelou. A Positive Life Moment with Teresa. So I have had some success, and I'm also going to be branching out I'm looking into taking training as a speaker as well, and I am also podcasting my own podcast. So because of everything that's gone on, I'm able to transform that into all my pain into ways of helping other people. That's the whole thing. If I can help one person, then my life's been worthwhile. That's always what I've said. That will be always what I will say.
Thank you for sharing this, and thank you for helping others. And it also feels good when you can help. What's the one thing you'd like listeners to take away from today's conversation?
One of the things I would like them to take away is you are not alone. You're never alone. You know, there are people that are rooting for you that you don't even know about. If you need help, reach out to somebody trusted. Don't try to fight this off yourself. And know that you are loved, you're worthy of love, you're worthy of self-respect, you're worthy of self-compassion. You are worthy of everything that you want in life. Just know that you are cared for, and that no matter what, somebody has your back. You may not be able to see them. The divine, by whatever name you choose to call, is always watching your back.
Thank you, Diane, and thanks for listening to Real People, Real Stories podcast. Join us next time for another inspiring story.